My name is Ivan Perry. It started as a hobby and now it's became an addiction, I guess, more than a hobby. And it's just a passion for all this old stuff. I just seem to gravitate towards it, or it gravitates towards me. But I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. I just like being surrounded with antiques and cans and cars and parts, and that's my life. It's great. I love living here with all these cars and what we have going on here. It's like being on a vacation, I guess, at home. I could spend the rest of my life just being at home and be totally content. I don't feel like I need to leave, unless I have to go get a new car. I couldn't even imagine life without doing this. I honestly couldn't. I got to pinch myself some days to see if it's real, that to do what you love to do and make a living doing it is great. And it's been a great run for sure. And I hope it never ends. My family, I have two beautiful daughters. Kyra, she'll be 22 years old here coming up in a couple of months. And then my daughter, Takesha. She works at the hospital down in Olds, Alberta. She's 28 years old. I'm divorced about 6 years ago. I got remarried here 2 years ago to a beautiful woman, Angie. And things have been good. She understands my passion for what I do, and she's into the photography. So we do a little antique photography business on the side, and it's all good. See, I lost, like with Kyra, there's a big connection with her because, and not more than my other daughters, just that I lost my son years ago. And, Kyra, we had a child after we lost our son, and Kyra reminded me, she had his brown eyes and facial features and stuff. So there was a big connection there having her after that, so she seemed to take an interest in, a bit of the antiques and the old cars. She'd always be hanging around the shop with me. Or sitting on the bike or getting in some kind of mischief painting something that she shouldn't be. But no, it's been good. My kids they definitely support what I do, for sure. It's been good. I guess the antiques started from buying and selling old cars and parts over the years at swap meets. People would sell antiques, and oil cans kind of go hand in hand, I guess, with the old cars. And it all started from there. Once you buy one, then you're hooked. It's like an addiction after that. You got to have them all, or try and get them all, which is impossible, but with the old cars, it started, I guess, back when I moved out here in '81. I came out from New Brunswick and bought my first vehicle. Didn't have a whole lot of money and ended up blowing the transmission in it, and didn't have the money to pay somebody to fix it, so ended up buying a used transmission at an auto wrecker and changed the transmission right on the side of the road. Back then, that's kind of what you did. And ever since then, I started fixing my own vehicles, and I always liked the older vehicles, so I kind of stuck with that. Back in them days, you could buy an old vehicle, for cheap, which was, a good deal. You could buy a new vehicle every month and sell the other one and make some money and find a different one to buy. When COVID first started, I thought I was done. I thought that nobody's going to be buying old cars and parts. And to my surprise, all of a sudden the phone started ringing, and people were buying old cars and parts like crazy. I probably sold more cars and parts during COVID than I ever did. People seemed to had the money or had the time. They're at home doing nothing, so they're looking to fix their old cars or looking for an old car to fix. So it worked out pretty good for me that way. I spend most of my time right here in the shop and out in the yard, and probably live, breathe, and eat old cars 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. My wife gets mad when I buy too much stuff, but she understands that that's how we make our money. And you can't sell from an empty shelf, so you got to keep buying. Would start, I guess, getting up in the morning, have a coffee with my wife, and checking out Marketplace and Kijiji on the internet. In the old days, it used to be the Bargain Finder. It used to be a newspaper that came out every Thursday. You would go through that and find cars to buy, but now it's all on the internet, so you got to keep up with the times. And I usually got something to pick up or deliver. I try and deliver a lot of the cars that I sell and pick up all my own cars. And always pulling parts off of something for somebody that's looking for a part for their car. So the day kind of gets filled up pretty quick. People stopping by looking for this and that, and the day goes by fast sometimes. I've been collecting cars since the middle of the early 80s when I first came out here. Then started to collect cars and parts, and the antiques I never really got into till later on. I'd say probably in the 90s. And I really enjoy the antique car, the cans and the signs and the pumps and stuff like that. I actually enjoy it as much as I do the old cars. But it all ties together, all these old car guys that are around, if they got old cars, they got old cans or signs or pumps. There's always that kind of stuff laying around on the farm, so it's cool. And it's fun just going through old barns and buildings looking for the stuff. I love my wife, I love my children, and then I love my cars and love my antiques. I wish I could say it was with my wife or my kids, but it's not. It's probably with the old cars and the antiques. This is my life, and that's where most of my time is spent, right here in the shop, or in my deck truck picking up new cars, or in the yard. I like spending time with my kids when they come over. Don't get a whole lot of free time. It just seems to consume my life doing what we're doing here. It takes time to keep the yard work up and keep everything prim and proper looking outside. So it's we spend a lot of our time right here on the acreage, just keeping things looking good. Son to my daughters, I'd love to pass it all on to them, but
I've interest.
they don't have no interest in it. I asked them what they would want, and they just said, "Dad, sell it all." I would hope they would keep a couple of oil cans and some signs. I'm sure there'd be a car or two maybe they'd want to keep too. But yeah, you would hope that they're going to keep something to keep my memory alive, I guess, to give to their kids. You know what? Unfortunately, I'm sure it'll all be sold. And that's what happens when people die. They sell off their collections. And you know what? I'm okay with that, because it's all going to go to people that are going to enjoy it. And I don't think any of it will go in the garbage. I highly doubt that any of it would go in the garbage can. It'll all be sold at an auction, I'm sure. Funerals at noon and the auction's at 1. That's what they say. Yeah. No, I don't think it'd be too hard to get rid of the stuff. It's a lot of people interested in antiques, and the cars are probably be a little harder to sell because they're big items. But as far as antiques, cans and signs and toys and stuff like that, people, I think that'll always be there. People always collecting that stuff. If I had to explain the passion that I have, I guess it would really be that it brings me joy to know that all these parts and old cars that I sell, they'll all get new life in some way or another. And, I really cherish the connections and the friends and the relationships that I made all over all these years. And, every morning that I wake up and I walk to the shop, I look around and everything I own's old. And you know what? It makes me a happy man. You know what? My future is just to be as healthy, I guess, as we can till the end of our time without any great amount of pain. And if you can do what you love to do in your life, whether it's for a short period of time or a long period of time, you're a pretty lucky person. And I've been lucky to be able to do what I do this long and still survive doing it, I guess.